So thank you so much for coming here today and taking your time up to speak with me. My name's Caitlin and I'm on placement with Dundee Volunteer and Voluntary Action. So DVVA are large organisations that help third sectors um, become more um, resilient and sustainable. And they do this by providing a number of different services, one being um, good governance at trustees level. So could you just introduce yourself and give a description on your role, please?
Yeah, hi, I'm Paul Gibson and I'm a Secretary of Dundee Northwest Community Sports Club. Um, I'm also Secretary of Dundee West Football Club, Dundee Northwest being the parent community sports club, and there's 5 clubs which are all member hub clubs of the overall umbrella community sports club. My role is basically being hands-on secretary, as I said, looking at more of a strategic level type role, dealing with leisure and culture Dundee, looking at leases of pavilions, 3G Astros, and yeah, just basically trying to look after our 1,000 or so members that we have at the moment.
So is that mainly like what your role is about, looking after all these different members and all the behind the scene type of things?
Yeah, so my role is working. We've got a couple of employees as well who do a lot of growing the club type roles. So I manage these 2 guys, and also take care of all the admin side of that and the payroll side of that as well. But yeah, keen work with the guys to try and get them to grow the club, as I said, and make sure that we're continually growing, but also doing our bit in the community from trying to provide opportunities through sport in the community. And recently we've been working with a lot of the community groups in the community. So working with the Attic down in Kirton and working with Kirton Community Centre, because our community is like in a deprived area, classed as a deprived area. So we're actually like trying to make a difference in there. So we've been out doing street dance and doing a bit of fundraising for the community, supplying them with funds and just trying to help, but just trying to give our bit through sport. And we've got a lot of things on the go at the moment as well.
That's great. So like when you're doing that kind of work out in the community, have you got like young volunteers to help you, or is it just mainly the staff that do it?
Yeah, so mainly the staff drive it so that we're safe and we're doing everything. But when we run like holiday camps and things, we do bring in younger people. So we've got recently, actually in the last October, just in October holidays there, we've had some of our under 19s kids taking part. So we've had the goalkeeper from the under 19s, if you like, he's been there. And we've been speaking to him actually. We're actually keen to bring him in as a young ambassador, almost bring him on the executive committee. And he seems to be quite keen on doing that. So we're just actually going through discussions with him just now and seeing how that can tie in. And there's also a couple of girls as well, the under 17s, who do a lot of help, like at holiday camps and things as well. And they're keen to get involved in that side of it as well. So we're keen to bring in younger people. We've tried it before and it's not always worked that great, just with general situations. Young people will maybe say they're keen for a wee while and then it'll maybe tail off. But I think there's a bit of, from our side as well, it's maybe actually what do we want these young people to do as part of it. So yeah, it's fine bringing young people in, but what do you actually want them to do and giving them that role and that empowering them to go and actually make a change is the big part of it that we need to probably work on a little bit. But yeah, we're keen to do that.
Yeah, and linking your work into some of the work that they kind of want to do and they want to take lead on, maybe.
Yeah, totally. That's kind of where we want to get to. And yeah, we are working on that at the moment, and hopefully we'll be able to make some announcements on that as well. So that's really the big thing, because I want them to be feeling part of it and actually like just actually like making sure everybody in the club knows that they have got young people, and if a young person in the club has got an idea but maybe not got the confidence to speak to an adult, they can maybe come along and speak to the young people that they maybe see at school, for example, So that's kind of what we've got in our heads at the moment anyway.
Yeah, and so you're like hoping that these young people like continue their journey after so long. Like, have you got people in the clubs right now that go to you guys, but then maybe continue their journey with you, if you know what I mean?
Yeah, I've got a lot of that. So we've got a few young kids in the club that have come, younger people, younger coaches in the club that have come through, and they're still coaching. I myself, I played for the club and everything when I was a teenager. I've been with the club since I was 21, so there's quite a few coaches in the club now that are ex-players and things when they were kids. It's quite a lot, so it's definitely something we want to encourage. But yeah, so when the kids get to like 16, we're trying to get them through coach education and things like that. So we're trying to support them in that, trying to get them to buy into what we're doing and make them feel part of it. And I mean, new ideas. That's what it's about, bringing new, fresh ideas. And people that have been there, I've been there 23 years or so now, and I didn't have all the ideas. So it's always good to get new ideas. So yeah.
Definitely. Fresh eyes.
Fresh eyes, definitely, yeah.
So how did you find your journey from being in the club to then being like in a different role in the club and having more responsibility?
You mean how did it come about, or how did it come about? So it was probably just being in the club and thinking to myself, I mean, the club was always good, but I think I always thought to myself, it could be a bit more organised, and and then there was probably around about the time, to be honest, I thought I just could make a difference, make it more organised. And then at the time, there was probably the quality mark. So this will still be the football side of it rather than the community club, because the community club's come around in the last 10 years and probably going back 15 years ago. So there's probably like the quality mark from the football side of it, which give us the tools. It was probably some of the stuff that I was wanting to do, but trying to get everybody to buy into it was difficult at the time because it was just me with a daft idea. But then the SFA kind of come along with the quality mark side of it, and that was kind of, I latched onto that right away because I thought, this is then not just me saying it to people. Like, this is like coming from the top, and it's gives everybody something to aim to. We create clear criteria and everything. So it was just about making the whole thing more organised, and then from there, once we got past that hurdle, I was just trying to grow it all the time, just looking for that next step. Just being motivated, I think, from my point of view, just remembering what it was like when I played football, getting changed in cars and old buildings and things. So just trying to make that experience better for the kids now in the area, and trying to provide opportunities that probably I didn't have when I was a kid. So I think that's what motivates me, just trying to get to the next level all the time. And that's how it's kind of come about for me. But I found that hard, and the fact that I feel things take such a long time at times, so to get through it, but got to stick with it.
Definitely. So where did the community side of it come from? Like you were saying about the 15 and then the 10 years. So where did that start?
Yeah, so at the time, it was probably at the point where, from the football side of it, we were looking for better facilities. We had like an old building that we were using, which wasn't ideal. We were outgrowing it. It was too small. We didn't have the pitches, so we started playing on playing fields that were local to the community. But at the time, it was an old council building that sat within these playing fields. So it became quite apparent that there was going to be an opportunity to take on that pavilion and us running it. So we were actually hiring the dressing rooms from the council at the weekends. But the new, around about the same time, Dundee House was getting built down the town, which was down in the city centre, which was bringing all the departments of this council together, which was then making our building, which we were hiring off them at the weekend, probably redundant for the council needs. So we started talking to the council through our partners in Leisure and Culture Dundee and the SFA, they were liaising with the people in the council, and it allowed us then to take on a key holders agreement to take on the pavilion. So instead of us paying for the dressing rooms, we were then paying ourselves, if you like, and that was getting regenerated. But there was 3 clubs at that time who were all playing at the same playing field, so we come together at that point. Just made sense because we all had the same objective of trying to run that building and having our own changing facilities, someplace we could call home. So that was how it come about. And then from there, it's just grown. There's grown more clubs. We've developed the building. We've had a bit of funding for the pavilion. We've made it more user-friendly for us. So still loads of work to do to it, but it's given us a home for the last 10 years or so.
That's really good. From like where you started to now where you're continuing on.
Yeah.
So obviously these circumstances have changed a lot. So how have you managed to keep the spirits going and keep progressing even with these difficult circumstances?
Yeah, it's been hard. A lot of people in the club, so it's trying to make sure you're reaching all the different areas of the club, all the different sections of the club as well. So it has been hard, and to be honest, hats off to the coaches and the guys out there. I mean, we've got over 120 coaches, so it's really been down to them, to be honest. It's been driving forward Zoom sessions and engaging with coaching by Zoom. We're club development officers with employees, being out in the community, being down at the handing out food parcels on a daily basis, going around people's doors with food parcels, and it's really down to it's not just me, Paul Gibson. It's down to the overall the club, you know. But we have kept engaging, I think, with the overall club. I think it's been good. I think the fact is that the coaches have tried their best in difficult circumstances. It was fine for a limited period of time. The Zoom sessions and things were good to start with, but I think kids being on their own, like playing football and things on their own, is okay for a limited period of time. You only get away with that so long. They do need that team bonding. So we probably got away with it for 3 or 4 months, and then getting back to some sort of training and things has helped. But yeah, no, it's been a big team effort, I would say.
Definitely, especially going about doing like the food parcels and everything.
Yeah, definitely. That was there was 2 or 3 people in the club that really drove that forward and were committed to it, and basically just took that. They were down there packing up food parcels. They were out delivering parcels for kids' lunches. They then probably drove forward the fundraising activity. They'd seen that because they were in there working with the community groups, they realised there was a need to fundraise. So us as a club, I think we've done a Zoom, like a race night by Zoom on a Saturday night. We raised about £1,700 overnight on that. So we donated that to the food banks and things. So
that's amazing.
We've got all the stats, how many food parcels we did, how many check-in phone calls we did. We were starting just before lockdown. We were starting with do some walking groups and things for elderly gentlemen who'd been bereaved, things like that. So our community club development officers were checking in with you guys, saying, look, do you need your milk and your bread? I could go and get it for you, hand it in, leave it at your doorstep, kind of thing. So we were doing all that. Just trying to do our bit. And I think in some ways it's actually, although the circumstances were terrible, COVID, but in some ways it's actually enlightened us to what is actually going on a bit more in our community as well. And we've now got such a better working relationship, I think, with our community officers. And we've really grown that relationship with them, and we're now working closely in that group now. So it's had its positives from that side of things, although the situation was terrible. So it has brought some positives.
that's amazing to see yous all coming together and seeing what's out there in your community. Like sometimes that's something you don't necessarily see straight away until it's there in front of you in different circumstances.
Yeah, totally. That's that's definitely been one of the positives I've come out of it. And obviously we've been the football side of things, because of the work that they did in there. We're now up for some awards with the DVA as well. I think the awards are tomorrow night. No, Thursday night, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we're up for a couple of awards as a club there, and our one of our club development officers is up for an award as well.
Well, good luck with the awards.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. It was great to hear what's all been going on.
No problem. Thank you. Cheers.